Hello and welcome to Lutherans Alive. This is the program that seeks to tell the stories of Lutheran Christians and their ministries here in southwestern Pennsylvania, believing that God is doing wonderful things through us. I'm Pastor Tony Schneck, and today on the program I am joined by Christina Rogers. Christina happens to be a member of St. Andrew's in Shadyside. Christina, welcome to the program today.
Thank you.
And you were saying that you're sort of from this area, but not really. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You grew up where?
I started in Trenton, New Jersey, and was a member of Prince of Peace Lutheran Church down there. I was a member there while Pastor Payne was the pastor, but now she's kind of high up. She's a bishop. Now she's Bishop Payne. And then when I was 9, I moved to Pennsylvania with my family. My dad got a job at Carnegie Mellon University, and my mom's a teacher. And now I go to St. Andrew's in Shadyside with Pastor Janet Grill, and I love it there. I've spent time at IUP is where I got my education. I have a bachelor's in political science, and I got really involved with campus ministry there as well. A little bit with the Lutheran, but I was drawn towards the Presbyterian church there. They just had a campus ministry that kind of fit my schedule more, and did a lot of Bible studies. And then found myself down in Washington, D.C. for an internship, and stayed in contact with people that I did my Bible study with in college. And then I moved back home and went back to St. Andrews. So I've been all over the place. I've even spent some time in Sweden going to a Lutheran church there as well. So I've gotten a lot of Lutheran love from all over the place.
And another stop in your journey, I understand, involves some summers at Camp Lutheran as well, on the staff there.
I was a counselor for 4 years, and I was the unit leader the summer of 2009. And it was the most amazing summer that I could have ever imagined. It kept my faith alive, let me grow, challenged me in all different kinds of ways. The staff throughout the summers changed a lot. I've met people that I'll be close to for the rest of my life. Just a place where you can really feel alive in your faith, feel alive as a person, and grow closer to God and to people from really all over the planet, and people from all over the United States. Just the happiest summers of my life were there.
Two things that you've mentioned so far can be wonderful opportunities for young adults like yourself to be a part of a campus ministry while in college. Can be a wonderful opportunity for growth in one's relationship with God and relationship with others in the church, and also to work some summers at one of our church camps, like Lutheran, can be a wonderful opportunity for growth and service.
I would encourage anyone that is going to college, or even thinking about going to college, high school seniors. I was on a mission trip once with my church youth group that I went, and we went down south, and one of the leaders said it is so important in college to surround yourself with an intentional Christian community, to really seek them out. And I found that the first campus ministry that I went to wasn't really the right one for me. And luckily my roommate and I kind of decided that we were going to go together. And after a couple, we just decided it wasn't quite right. It didn't really fall in line with our beliefs, so we went and tried another one. And it's a lot of trying on different campus ministries to see which one works for you, even if it's not necessarily one that you would have thought. Maybe it's not the same denomination. Maybe it's just a basic Christian fellowship. Maybe it's just a group of people. Maybe it's a small group of people. Maybe it's one that takes over the entire campus for a day. But it really seems like it would be hard to find a campus ministry sometimes, but you just have to keep going and trying different places and meeting different people. We really didn't find the place that we were most comfortable with until our sophomore year. But we were really glad that we kept sticking it out and trying different places. So that would be my words of encouragement to kids who are in their freshman year of college, just finding themselves drained of not having any Christian community.
Specifically, today on the program, we are here to talk about another opportunity that you had to grow in faith and service, and that is as a young adult in global mission. We've had the opportunity to have a couple others on the program here talking about their experiences as a young adult in global mission. Can you say a few words about how you came to be one of those young adults in global mission? How were you led to jump on this opportunity to be such a young adult in global mission?
Sure. My last semester in college, I was an intern in Washington, D.C. with a small nonprofit. And I realized that I didn't really want to have a 9-to-5 job yet. I wasn't ready to have that kind of commitment. I really enjoyed my internship. It was a 9-to-5 internship, but I wanted to do something else. I realized that I wanted to travel, and I wanted to be in fellowship with people and help people where I could. And another girl who worked at Lutheran as well, my friend Meredith, had been a West Bank Jerusalem YAGM, and she talked about the program my last summer as a counselor. And when I was looking at somewhere to go after my internship, it clicked that, well, yeah, I could do this and be Lutheran too all at the same time. And, well, that sounds great. It could be a year. It would be perfect. So I worked on my questions that spring and turned them in. It just seemed perfect. Like, it wasn't a 9-to-5 job. It was going to be for a year. I could really take the time I needed to figure out what I wanted to do next. It's perfect place, perfect time, I guess.
It can really be an opportunity for that vocational discernment.
Yes, very much so.
Good, good. In what ways, now tell us a little more about your experience. In what ways was your experience helpful in that vocational discernment? Tell us a little bit about where you were and what you did.
I was at the Spec Retreat Center, which is 45 minutes north of the city of London, outside the village of London Colney. We were about a 20-minute walk down a wooded trail away from the nearest village. And I worked with second graders, really cute second graders with little English accents, all the way up to 8th or 9th grade, kind of depending on their age. England doesn't have the same counting grade count, I guess, that we would, so it was about the same. But most of the kids that I worked with came from their schools, and they came through their religious education, which is something that they have in England that we don't have. It's kind of like another subject in school. And one of the things they have to do is they have to go somewhere outside of their school to have like an outside school experience with religious education. So a really quick and easy way for the teachers to fulfill that is to come to Spec for a day. The little second graders through about 4th graders couldn't stay overnight. They just aren't old enough to be away from their parents. So they would come for the day for about 5 or 6 hours, and we would do lots of different activities. We would make paper sheep and do some singing and play lots of games and tell silly jokes, but all centered around different themes. For the little kids, it would be following Jesus, and we did a lot about sheep and making sure that you knew that Jesus was a friend, not just somebody that your parents talked about. And all the other groups would have different themes as well.
Christina, thanks so much for what you've shared so far. We'll look forward to hearing more about your time there in the UK. But we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back to Lutherans Alive. We continue our visit here with Christina Rogers, talking about her time as a young adult in global missions, serving over in the United Kingdom. Christina, before the break, you were beginning to share with us about some of the themes, specifically, perhaps even some of the specific lessons that the young children learned while they were there at the camp. Can you say a little more about that?
Mm-hmm. Like I said before, the little kids would have very simple themes, usually one word. Friendship is a good one, and following Jesus. The older kids, the kids that were in middle school, would have more along the lines of community and friendship. How can you be a Christian at school? And they have such a culture where it's not really okay to be out and about as a Christian. It's kind of a faux pas you look at, like, are you really a Christian? So a lot of teaching kids that you can be a Christian and you can be normal too. Christians like football. Christians like going to the movies. Christians like going to Lady Gaga concerts. Kind of reinforcing that it's okay to be a Christian. And one of my favorite sessions that we did was called the Game of Life. And we had different stations, and the kids got a piece of paper where they kind of got to take a test drive of what it would be like to be an adult. They had to get a job. They had to pay for their college education. They could get a wife or a husband. They could pay for babies. They could go on a vacation to different places. And some of them even got pretend broken legs or had to go to jail if we got them stealing money from somebody else. And it was amazing the kinds of insights that the kids would have about, I really did think that I wanted to maybe spend all my money at the casino, and then realizing that maybe that's not the way they want to spend their life. Maybe it's a good idea to get an education, that's going to help you. The grounds that we were on also really helped a lot. SPEC is on the grounds of where St. Alban was arrested, on a little island called Chantry Island, and having that presence there where kids could literally walk in the footsteps of a saint, someone that seems so far away. If you look at him on a statue, he looks like a Roman soldier with a big sword, not really accessible to little kids, but having second graders walk the same path that a saint has walked, even if they didn't fully understand it, was really important to them and really important to their faith. Just those little things that we could do to connect them back and make their faith not just another school subject, but really a part of who they are.
It's powerful when those connections can be made, and that the children and even we adults who live in this age can sort of reflect on the lives of those who have gone before us and learn from them. And it sounds like that happened there that summer, and that we can even learn that we too are God's saints. We teach that, of course, that we are both saints and sinners at the same time. And I'm sure that was very powerful.
It was.
It was a lovely setting then.
Yes, it was picturesque English countryside. When we walked from Speck to the local supermarket, we walked by a field of sheep that would often come rumbling over the hills looking for their next meal. We'd walk by lakes and lots and lots of rabbits. Rabbits all over the place. You wake up in the morning and they'd just be sprawled across fields. Horses, beautiful trees. You could throw a stone from our fields to the M25, which is kind of like the Capitol Beltway in Washington, D.C. It's a huge, about 10-lane highway that goes around in a circle around London. So we always had noises, but it wasn't so loud that it didn't feel like you were really away from civilization a little bit. Yeah, I loved it. The most beautiful sunsets you could imagine coming down over the hills. just lighting it up. It looked like a fairy tale sometimes.
And you were there for about 11 months, is that correct?
Yep.
And any surprises, things that happened that you didn't expect? I mean, what how did the experience meet your expectations? How did it exceed your expectations, perhaps?
I would say it met it because, well, actually, let me take that back. During orientation for YAGM, we're told by the director, Heidi, to take all your expectations, roll them up in a ball, and throw them out the window, because it's not going to be like anything you could have expected, which was such sound advice. I went in kind of expecting it to be like all of the movies that I've ever seen of England. And it was a little bit, but it was completely the opposite. Everyone had an English accent, but that was kind of the similarities between what I've learned of England and what I've experienced of it. I found myself growing deeply in love with tea time, having an 11 o'clock and a 3 o'clock break. I still drink tea every day. I still drink the same black tea and biscuits, and it's part of my DNA now, I think. And it kind of widened my horizons of ecumenical worship. The retreat center was Roman Catholic, so that meant that we had Mass, not the same kind of worship that I was used to. It means I couldn't take communion there while I was at the center. I went with Marta and some other non-Catholics to a church in London Colony, where is a Church of England church, where we were welcomed in and allowed to take communion. But while that was a difficult part of my year, it's not that difficult part made my year not really worth it. I found that as the year went by, I became more comfortable with really involving myself in Roman Catholic Mass, and found myself moved just the same way I had been moved if I was at a Lutheran service. What do they call it? Our induction Mass, I guess. The Roman Catholic Church has different dioceses, like we have synods, and our kind of mother church is Westminster Cathedral in London. It's not the big brown church that's near Big Ben. It's down a couple blocks and it's red. But our induction Mass was in the crypt, which sounds creepy, but it's not. In the crypt of Westminster Cathedral, and having been invited into such sacred places for the Roman Catholic faith made us feel loved and accepted as a group, and brought our community together. So really having my expectations of maybe not being completely accepted for being a Lutheran were thrown out the window. We were loved, and we had a lot of things explained. We kind of had like Catholic 101 at the beginning of the year. We had really amazing priests. In particular, one of the fathers, Father Digby, was there. He did a lot of children's masses for the kids, and always made sure that we understood what was going on. We understood where it came from, maybe how it connected back to a Lutheran service. We were just really well taken care of as people from a different faith being involved in a Roman Catholic community and Roman Catholic life. Yeah.
It sounds like you were welcomed very nicely there, and how wonderful it is whenever Christians do work together. More about that and more with Christina Rogers about her year in England after another short break. Welcome back to Lutherans Alive. We're continuing our conversation with Christina Rogers. Christina spent 11 months over in the United Kingdom as a young adult in global mission. And it can be a wonderful experience. Can you say some things about how the overall experience has affected you? What part has this played in your journey now, in your relationship with God and your faith, and what has this experience meant to you?
I would say that my faith is a lot more grounded now. It doesn't seem so high up in the clouds, I guess. As a little kid, I felt like I was taught to always look up, and you all are always looking up. You're looking up at the height of your pastor, you're looking up at the height of your parents, and now I find myself really connected more and grounded more, having walked in the footsteps of saints, having walked with people through different aspects of their religious life, having walked with people in an ecumenical way, just having my faith mature and really being grounded now. Like, I feel like it's more of my own faith. It's not a faith that I was given as a kid. It's almost like I've been able to mold it more to my needs, to my relationship with God, and being able to share that kind of relationship that I have with my family and my friends and people that I've worked with at camp and people that I lived with in England. It just feels like I'm closer, but in a different way, which is hard to describe, but that's the way it is. It's taught me a lot about myself, taught me a lot about different things I can handle, things that I never thought I'd be able to do in my life and my faith. I now have done and are able to help people who are going through that, different kinds of experiences, to really be there for them and know what it feels like to be an outsider accepted.
The word that comes to mind for me is ownership, and being able to take some ownership of one's faith. As you have said, thankful for those who have taught you, those who have been role models and examples up to this point in your life. But there also comes a time when you can say, this is mine. Mm-hmm. And yes, I do believe. Yeah. This is mine, and it's coming from my own heart. I believe, and I'm going to live this out. Yeah. So what's next for Christina now? How has this helped you in the discernment process, vocational goals? What's next?
Well, yesterday I applied to graduate school. I'm actively pursuing hopefully a graduate degree in political science and political theory, which seems completely 180 from what I just did in England. But I want to eventually, hopefully, be a college professor. And what that means is using political science and political thought to challenge young people to think outside the box and accept people on the other side of the aisle. Really challenging them to stand up for what they believe in and maybe change their way of thinking. And I like that idea of being a teacher and helping college-age students, which was such an important part of my life so far, to grow and mature. I'll be anxiously awaiting my admissions letters this spring, but that's what's next for me, and then we'll see where God takes me throughout my year or two as a graduate student.
We certainly wish you luck with that, and that God will be with you on that journey, most certainly. And that word's come up a few times in our conversation, the journey. Yeah. And you've spoken about a few different places to which you have traveled, and God has been with you on all of those parts of your journey, and He will certainly see you the rest of the way, whatever that next step is. There's that prayer that There's that prayer that's in one of our prayer books that invites us to trust that God is leading us. We don't know where, but trusting only that His hand is guiding us, and that's a good thing. Thanks so much for what you shared today, and certainly I know you've encouraged others to think about a year of being a young adult in global mission. You would give it your endorsement, I'm sure.
Yes, 100%.
Good, good. Thanks so much for being here, Christina.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us on Lutherans Alive. We know that from wherever you are watching, there is a Lutheran congregation, a group of Lutheran Christians that would be very, very pleased to welcome you. We hope that you'll come and worship with us sometime, and we hope that you'll join us again next time on Lutherans Alive.